state historical marker when you drove up. Ebenezer was organized in 1842. One of the founding members was Major Robert McBride. John David was descended from Major McBride. Also, you may not have noticed, but there's a plaque on the wall at the back that goes back, I think, to World War II. It lists Ebenezer men who served in the military. John David's father and 2 uncles are listed there. And even today, he still has a large number of relatives in this community and in this congregation. And I guess the biggest thing telling John David's tie to Ebenezer was he chose this, Ebenezer, as his final resting place. So at any rate, we're welcome. We're glad to have you with us. We hope you enjoy your visit today and hope you enjoy the festivities. Now I'll ask Reverend Everett to come forward.
Glad you mentioned that about his resting place, because when you said he had deep roots here, that's the first thing I thought of. He does. And my wife and I have our plot picked out there, and I just hope he's as quiet and deaf as he was in life. And it was my honor to know him as a friend and also as his pastor for a number of years, and I appreciate being invited to be a part of this. Thank you all for being here. Let's look at the Lord. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can come here today to commemorate the life of John David Pennebaker. We loved him, and those who knew him know why we loved him. We come here, Father, to praise and give you glory for the life that he lived and the many lives you touched through him, his family, his church, his community here at home, town and county, but also his beloved state of Mississippi. And especially the way you used him in the legislature and working in the highway program and many other ways. But Father, we're so blessed today with the highway system we have, and he was an integral part of that. And so we thank you, and it's very fitting that they dedicate this section of the highway in his memory and with his name. And pray that as we drive by that, we'll remember it from day to day. And pray your safekeeping of all who travel these and all the roads of Mississippi, and that you'll watch over and protect us. But Father, as much as we're thankful for these highways, we thank you even for the more important road in John David's life. One not made with concrete or asphalt or anything like that. No painted stripes down the middle, but the road he walked every day as a child of God in Jesus Christ, a husband, a father, a friend, a community leader, one who lived a life of exemplary integrity and honesty and fairness, compassion and kindness to others. And we pray that we'll follow that example, that we too would bring glory to Jesus. So bless this time together. We thank you in the sweet name of Jesus. Amen.
I feel like a preacher. I've known John David Pennebaker all my life. I grew up with his family. I knew his brother Robert, who's now deceased, and I know Jeff and Sam, who are sitting in the audience. His father and mine practiced medicine together. His father and mother, his mother was Cleo Barclay Pennebaker. His father and mother and John David are all resting in the cemetery over here, as are his uncles. My grandparents, my great-grandparents, and my great-greats are also resting in the same cemetery. This church has meant a lot to both of these families. As Glenn Duckworth mentioned earlier, the boys who went to war are listed in the back. There are 4 Ellis names there, my daddy and my 3 uncles, and Dave Pennebaker and Charlie Pennebaker, I know, are listed back there as well. John David Pennebaker did a remarkable thing. He stood up in 1987 and he got this state the roads that it needed to prosper. To me, he was always someone who had a purpose, knew what he wanted to do, and did it. To me, he seemed rather aristocratic and sure of himself. That was the John David that I knew. From a very young age, he entered public service. He was 25 or 26 years old when he became the mayor of New Albany, and he served 2 terms. For a brief period, he was the Chancery Clerk, and then he served 4 terms in the legislature, from 1976 to 1992. It was during that period that he became the chairman of the Transportation Committee. And his vice chairman was Billy McCoy, who later went on to be the Speaker of the House. I have told this to Judge Mike Mills before. I'm sure he remembers this, but My first meeting to where with Mike Mills and Billy McCoy, I was working for the state auditor's office, and I had gone to Jackson on a Sunday night to turn in an audit on Monday morning. And when I woke up and opened the blinds, there was snow everywhere. So we were snowed in all week long, and I rode home. I left my car in Jackson. On that Friday, I rode home with John David, Mike Mills, and Billy McCoy. Mike Mills and Billy McCoy were just loads of fun. John David was the driver, and he was very serious, and he was maintaining the decorum in the car. And who would have thought that years later I'd be in the legislature, and I don't want to say who would have thought Mike Mills would be a judge, because I'm sure we all knew from early on that he certainly would be something like that. The 1987 four-lane highway program was the largest public works program in the legislature. Most of the financing came from an increase in gasoline tax. A tax increase is risky because number one, it was election year, and number two, politicians don't like to pass tax increases because the voters don't like it and they might not vote for you. But John David did it anyway. John David and Billy McCoy persuaded enough people in the House and Senate to vote for that road program, and it passed. And then all they had to do was send it to the governor for his signature. Governor Bill Allain wouldn't sign the bill. So they went back to in fact, he vetoed the bill. And they went back to the House and Senate and got enough votes to pass the bill anyway. And this legislation was the key to helping Mississippi, Union County, and New Albany be what it is today. The four-lane highway eventually became I-22. I'm talking about Highway 78 in our area. It eventually became I-22. And Toyota was looking for a place to locate, and they wanted to be near an interstate. So in 2004, the Pool Alliance got Toyota to agree to build in Blue Springs in Union County. Looking back, you could probably say that this happened because of the foresight of John D. Pennebaker. In the 2018 legislative session, a bill was passed into law by Governor Phil Bryant to name after Pennebaker a portion of Mississippi Highway 15. It is appropriate that it's this stretch of road because this was his way of going to the family farm. It is the portion of the highway beginning at the New Albany city limits and going north to the Tippah County line. And this portion of road will be known as the John David Pennebaker Memorial Highway. This legislation was authored by me, by Jody Steverson from Ripley, who's here today, by Steve Massengill from Hickory Flat, and by Representative Tony Reynolds from Water Valley, who actually served with John David. In closing, I like poetry, and I think that this applies to John David. It's about his life. Two roads diverged in the yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the traveling there had worn them nearly about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first for another way, yet knowing how a way leads on to way, I doubted that I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. John David's contribution to Mississippi, to New Albany, and to Union County has made all the difference. Thank you, John David. God bless you.
I was wondering where you were going with this story when you started. But I remember that ride very well. John David would not use his brakes, and we were just flying over ice all the way back from Jackson. But it was fun being in the back seat with you. I finally remember that. And I am delighted to be here at the invitation of Miss Sally Pennebaker. Sally is my courtroom deputy, and she writes me out a little script every day before I go out in the courtroom. And I read whatever Sally puts in there, and she has written me a script for today. So I'm going to do the best I can with it. She was afraid that if I got off script, I might get in trouble. I do want to say this is very much a reunion for me. And it's great to see Gwen and Jennifer too, and those wonderful grandchildren. But also to see people I haven't seen in a long time, and I'll miss people, but I'm going to remember a few. Danny Jordan, where are you, Danny? Zach Stewart, hadn't seen in a long time. Jerry Wilder, Will Green Poindexter. Who else? Who am I missing from those days looking around this crowd? These were people that in the early 80s, who very, very much involved. I guess they'd been drawn into John David's web, kind of like I had. When I got there the first day in the legislature, and Will Green delights in this, but I had voted wrong on the first vote, and knew I was in trouble. I voted against Buddy Newman, and John David Pennebaker got up, and he walked back toward me, had on gray slacks and a blue sport coat, and he sat down on the edge of my desk, and he just looked at me, you know, like I was a specimen of some sort. And he said, son, if you ever want to amount to anything, you're going to have to learn who you can trust, whose word you can rely on. And that bothered me, because I thought it implied that I didn't know who to trust. But then I ran into Will Green. I'd already talked to Jerry Wilbur, and I knew who not to trust. But I asked Will Green Poindexter after a few days, worried about that. I said, do you think I'll ever have a chance around here after what I've done? And he said, no, I don't think you will. Said it's going to be mighty hard. But I learned to rely on John David, and as Margaret said, he was an aristocrat. He just was a born Pennebaker from Union County, and he had no common pretensions whatsoever. But I like to say he did have uncommon virtues. He was a very virtuous person, and a person that we all relied upon. But he would want me to say, as Sally has told me, that he could not have accomplished anything without the good people of New Albany and Union County. He very much cared about the people of the city of New Albany and Union County. His family was very, very important to him. When he first went to the legislature in 1975, Sally was 6 months old and Jennifer was 4 years old. And here we are today. When he retired, Sally was a senior in high school and Jennifer was a junior at Mississippi State. Gwen held it all together. And I do appreciate what our helpmates do for those of us in public life. I first met Jeff and Sam Pennebaker through John David and became very good friends with them. They were very much a part. John David wanted them involved in everything we did. I remember Clay Rakestraw. I don't know what all Clay did for the people of North Mississippi, for the legislators. All the people working on this Highway Act. Sally wants me to mention Donna Treadaway, who I saw a few minutes ago, and Tammy McDonald, who worked for John David at his office. And she also said, if you don't believe in life after death, go look at that ribbon of asphalt that Ergon put out here that leads right up to John David's monument out there. After it's over, go out there and look. There is life after death for old legislators. Finally, I would have to refer to John David like we did in the Sun and Sand Motel where we all lived as the Godfather. There was no detail in your life that was too small for John David to express an opinion about. He would get involved in everything he did. And he would assign rooms. If he was upset with you about something, he'd be way down to the other side of the Sun and Sand. The more he liked you, the closer you were to his room. He would tell you what to eat when you went out to eat, you know, and he wanted the butter just right. The butter had to melt before you put it on the biscuit. He would worry about things like that. Sally did not know until she moved out of the house and married Don that everybody's shampoo didn't say Sun and Sand on it. He stole more towels and Sun and Sand soap and shampoo than anybody in North Mississippi. It was a real honor to serve with him. It is an honor to be here today. I know what this would mean to John David, because it was hard to name a road after anybody when we were in Jackson, and particularly when he was chairman of transportation, because there would be these people who would think that they needed something named after them, and John David just wouldn't allow it. We just wouldn't do it. He said, you have to die first. Well, he made it. I'm very proud.
I won't be able to follow that. I'm terrified all of a sudden here. Thank y'all very much. My name is Mike Taggart, and I work with today's Department of Transportation and the Transportation Commission. And I'm personally honored. Every member of the MDOT family that happens to be here with you, past or present, we're honored to be here with you today on this great occasion to talk a little bit and to commemorate this opportunity for someone that I can tell you personally. The Pennebaker name holds high reverence within the Department of Transportation. It is one of those key core people in our history that have made a visionary difference for the department and hence the entire state. And he did so, of course, with his love of the Union County and all of you. You know him much better than I did, but it's with great reverence and with respect and dignity that we are part of this today. And we want to thank the Pennebaker family for allowing us to be here. A lot of folks, and I'll freely admit that I, of course, did not know Mr. Pennebaker like many of you did. We know him from the commission minutes and the history of our agency, and we see the actions that he took many years ago and how positive and what a positive influence they've had on our world today. And you've heard from, there's so much leadership in this room that was a part of that. We're very grateful for so much of that. So many of you that are here were a big part of assisting, and I know Mr. Pennebaker too would quickly shed a lot of that credit. But today is his day, and it's our opportunity to honor him. So many people, good people always have good intentions, and many make promises, but good character is what delivers on promises, and good character is what delivers on those intentions. And from the Department of Transportation, that's how we view Mr. Pennebaker, is someone who, we always refer to the 1987 highway plan, but so many of us who have been in the thralls of recent issues with the Department funding, very similar to the mid-'80s and the early '80s, we know that it literally took years of work and vision and policy and scrapping and clawing and working your way through the legislative process, which culminated in the 1987 AHEAD program. And he was there for all of it. He was there for all of it. He was a leader and a visionary for all of it. The most of us who came here today, most of us rode on a 4-lane of some sort to get here, and I think we can all certainly thank in part Mr. Pennebaker for a lot of that. He was such a visionary. We talk about the '87 program and what it's meant for the Department of Transportation. And we talk about it it's almost a daily basis within the department, that we have that kind of reverence and reference to the legislation that he was such a big part of. But most people may not remember that he was, when I say visionary, we truly do mean it, because I'm sitting here today and I represent the old highway department, and Mr. Pennebaker was such a big part of making the old highway department the Mississippi Department of Transportation. He was a part of that. He was there for that in 1992, when he recognized that we're not just simply about roads and bridges, we're about all modes of transportation. And in order for our state to be successful, we've got to recognize that and support it, whether it's our railroads, our waterways, all these. Now, he recognized certainly that the 4-lane system was the key to making that immediate progress. But he was such a huge influence from a policy standpoint, with his keen policy standards and his research, and along with future Speaker McCoy, and that tenacious attitude of being able to persuade people and to work the policy for the betterment of our state. We're all, at the Department of Transportation, we are certainly better for it. And to do all of that, as Ms. Margaret mentioned, in a time of political turmoil and a time of an election year, it just seems almost unbelievable here. This reads like an old political mystery to us. And that's unfortunate. We need more leadership, just like today, just like many in this room and Mr. Pennebaker was at that time. You won't talk to anyone at the Department of Transportation that doesn't associate leadership, credibility, and honor, and dignity, and commitment that's not associated with the Pennebaker name. And there's a handful of people that fall, very, very few that fall into that category, and he leads that charge, and we're very grateful. As I mentioned, I did not get to know him, of course, like many of you, but I did have the pleasure of sitting with him and visiting with him, and we had invited him to, just a few years ago, to the recent opening of the Interstate 22 memorial official. It was more than just a name of Interstate I-22, but this was official. We actually completed the work, and it was going to be a true interstate. And we had invited along with some others, for this event. And so we were looking forward to seeing him. I was looking forward to meeting him, and just as way back when, he was one step ahead of me, and Sally and I were talking about this earlier, but I felt a tug on my shoulder and turned around, and he says, "You need to know me." and I didn't recognize him, to be quite honest, and I said, "Yes, sir, I sure do." And we had such a great visit. That's a memory that I personally will remember. He's just such a stalwart proponent of things that we believe are roads and bridges and economic development, and all the things that we tout as being a positive vision and positive policy for our state. And we certainly won't ever forget him. So thank you again for having me today. And now I would like to, on behalf of the old highway department, and of course today's modern Mississippi Department of Transportation, the Transportation Commission, and every employee with the Department of Transportation, I can tell you a high reverence for Mr. Pennebaker. We thank you for letting us be here today. And with that, we'd like, I think, if the family would come up, as well as our speakers, and we're going to unveil the reason we're here today. Just let it go straight over the front. All right. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Everybody can come on out like that. Here we go.
Back in the car together, y'all do.
Here we go, everybody on me. All right, here we go, one more time. That works.
Good job.
cool day to sign.
I don't see anything else on the program, but John Davis, former pastor.
I'm Sally Wilkerson. This is Charlie Wilkerson, mom Gwen Pennebaker, Mary Hannah Whitehead, Kelsey Whitehead, and Jennifer Whitehead. And today we're at Ebenezer Presbyterian Church in Blue Mountain, Mississippi for a highway dedication for my father, John David Pennebaker. It was an honor to be here today. We appreciate Ebenezer Church allowing us to have the ceremony here. My family's roots are here in Cotton Plant, Mississippi. Generations of my family are buried at this church, and there wasn't a more fitting place to have a dedication to honor my father and his service to the Mississippi legislature in the state of Mississippi.